Well, Happy New Year. Can you believe that we are here already? Now, at this time of year, we are absolutely swamped with messaging, aren't we? New year, new you, all that kind of thing. And there might be offers at the gyms and discounts on all sorts of diet regimes, all encouraging us to just think about how we might want to overhaul our lifestyle. And it can feel really good to get back into a routine after a bit of an indulgent, festive period maybe. And it's an awful lot of pressure. And I know that in the past I would often feel like I needed to change everything, and I would just give myself way too much to do. And so little wonder then that a couple of weeks into January I was knackered, despondent, bored of depriving myself and just feeling guilty, that I wasn't doing it properly. So I found that I get the most success in making small tweaks and kind of micro gains, those little habits that over time turn into big positive changes. And the best news really is that we don't need to deprive ourselves and be something that we're not. I think, how am I going to get 2025 off to the very best start? So this is what I do, so let's get into it. So number one is start the day right. So first things first, I am a little bit fanatical about starting the day right. And one small habit that I'm definitely continuing this year is getting out first thing to see morning light. It may not be that bright, and I tend to get lots of comments about this. What if it's not sunny? What if I don't have the time? Honestly, it can be 20 minutes of walking the dog or doing the school run or a few errands, whatever. Or it can be just 5 minutes with your morning cuppa. You can stand outside, look at the sky. It doesn't have to be sunny. Goodness knows we're probably not getting much of that right now. And even if you can't get outside, you can open the window, just to get that early morning light. So it's that simple act of exposing ourselves to the morning light in our eyeballs that's telling our body clock that the day is starting. And it's really important that we make our environment bright in the morning, as bright as we can, and then we lower the light intensities in the evening. And all of this really helps with sleep, and it also sets us up for feeling so much better. It's all about the circadian rhythm. So living seasonally, and I think this is really important, especially amongst all the shouty messaging at this time of year. So to live seasonally, winter is really meant to be a time of rest. You see it in nature, don't you? The trees are bare, very few flowers. Everything is having a well-earned break, just preparing for the spring ahead and new life and new fresh regimes. So I think we can really pay attention to this, focusing on building ourselves up in the winter with that bit of rest and restore, so that we're feeling strong and ready for the warmer months ahead. So this might not mean waking up at the crack of dawn for a sweaty workout and then feeling shattered by the end of the day. We might need to just sort of push back a little bit on that. Instead, we might think more about prioritising our sleep, take advantage of the shorter days by getting some earlier nights. Maybe we can swap the usual high-intensity cardio class when we really go for it for something that's a bit slower. Maybe focus on some strength training, lifting a few weights, maybe taking a chilled yoga class, just being a bit more mindful. We don't need to go to every social occasion going. We can skip a couple and focus on what you need to do to recharge at home. And food as well, shopping for seasonal and local veg, particularly wherever possible, focusing on warming things like stews and broths and soups. There's real evidence now to suggest that our gut microbiome actually shifts in time with the seasons. And we've got a really interesting article on this on earlewellbeing.com. I'll make sure that we pop a link in the caption below. So I guess my next tip is to move every day. It may not be that hard cardio workout. We don't need to go overboard with the exercise, but consistency has always been my mantra. Little and often. So I make sure I get a bit of movement in each day rather than spending hours slogging it out at the gym or just beating myself up that I'm not doing enough. Some days this might just look like a walk with the family, on my own, time to have a chance to think, be outside. Sometimes I might have a jog around the park. It's not usually very long, maybe 20 minutes. And then I might lift some weights at home or do some squats or some push-ups. You know, I'm a big fan of exercise snacking. And this might be just grabbing a bit of movement where you can, doing some push-ups against the counter when I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, maybe standing on one leg when I'm brushing my teeth, a little bit of multitasking without even really having to think about it. Because these small changes, if we put them all together, they add up to make a really big difference. So prioritizing protein, that's another mantra of mine. Yep, you might have guessed it. Prioritize protein. Honestly, just making this simple tweak to your mindset when building a plate of food really can work wonders. So whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, even a snack, you decide on your protein first and then add veggies and healthy fats all around it. Now, this leaves us feeling so much fuller for longer, and it also helps to ensure that our blood sugar levels stay more stable, and that helps to reduce cravings and just generally helps to keep us feeling more energized. Very good for muscle strength as well. And on that note, dress your carbs. Yeah, so if we're going to have carbs, let's make them work harder for us. So initially, I think we can make some smart swaps here. So if you're a fan of bread, you can trade your white bread, for instance, say for sourdough. And then if you fancy some toast for breakfast, rather than covering it in marmalade, I know that's a real treat, that is actually my weekend guilty pleasure, then just put some nut butter on it, or maybe an egg. You know, you could put some avocado. So dress up your carbs with protein and healthy fats. Again, keeps us fuller for longer, helps to keep our blood sugar levels more stable. And then if you're taking supplements, healthy fats can also help to support their absorption too. So you get more out of your supplements. And one more thing on carbs before we move on. And this one is for the carb lovers, and it's a really good pasta hack. So I'll cook it ahead of time, allow it to go completely cold, and then reheat it just for a minute in boiling water. So what this does is it reduces the glycemic load of the pasta and also releases more of the resistant starch that our gut microbes thrive on. Then you can pile in your veggies, bit of protein, and ta-da! You've got a really healthy, tasty, nutritious meal with less blood glucose spiking. Now, talking of dressing things up, I like to make my cup of coffee work harder too. So yeah, okay, hands up, I am a bit of a coffee fiend. I really do look forward to it each morning, but I use it to help supercharge my wellness. And this is something that we can all do, whether you drink tea, coffee, even just a little bit of hot water or a herb tea. So for me, I tend to have 2 coffees in the morning. My first coffee is pretty much the first thing that I have after my electrolytes, and I do this before I do any movement. So in this cup of coffee, I might add some MCT oil. I like the one from Ancient and Brave. I will pop a link below because we do have a really handy Liz Loves affiliate code on Ancient and Brave things. MCT oil is really good for helping to support energy levels and endurance. So it's also a really helpful one to have before exercise. So my second cup of coffee of the day will be mid-morning, and I sometimes like to add a scoop of creatine here. This is a super useful one for midlife. It can help to support muscle mass and slow the loss of bone mass as we age. And there's also some evidence to suggest that it can help improve our brain function too. So yep, in the coffee it goes. And then my final tip, gratitude. Yeah, I know, might sound a bit woo, but honestly, try it. I do this each morning. Sometimes I'll write it down in a journal. Other times I might just think or say it out loud to myself. Even if I've woken up feeling a bit rubbish, by the time I get to the end of my list, I realise just how much I have to be thankful for, and I can't help but smile. You know, 3 things that I am thankful for today. It can be really simple. Today, my family, my health, all of you guys here. You know, the list is endless. The warm bed that I woke up in, the safe space that I have to live, all of those things. That's it. 7 small wins over time can add up to a really big difference. So what micro habits are you going to be adopting in 2025? As ever, Do share your ideas below. We love to read them. So until the next time, go very well. Have a brilliant start to the new year. It's going to be a good one. Yeah? Let's make it so. Bye-bye.